I have the PBS station on in the background, and it's the Patty Hinich, the lady who does the Mexican cooking show, but she's like up in Alaska in this episode. So it's kind of interesting. My apologies for my hair. I'm just kind of getting up and doing things, but I wanted to make sure because I already pulled the cards out last night and then I fell asleep before I could get the reading out. So if you were expecting to see a reading posted last night, your intuition would have been correct because that was the plan. Okay. But apparently my body got a little sidetracked and we had to rest. But I already have my cards sitting out here. Okay. For you guys, and this is going to be the heart-shaped ones. Okay. Remember, folks, too, when there's love readings, doesn't necessarily mean that love has to come from a specific person that you're thinking about, although it might. It might come from somebody that haven't met yet. It might be coming from, the universe, from God. It might be coming from friends, family members, extended family, things of that nature. Okay? So don't think because, so-and-so's found their special person forever and ever and only they can be the special ones and like there's no hope for you. No. Don't. A lot of people get caught in that story and then they end up self-sabotaging. Okay. So that's what I don't want you to do. Okay. I don't want you to self-sabotage. Self-sabotage is so like pre-2020, right? It's very pre-COVID. Okay. We're not doing that anymore. We're being prepared, right? I was talking to one of my little cousins recently and she was telling me about all her plans for her life. And I'm thinking, like, this kid's still in high school and she's got all these dreams and plans. And so I thought, good for her. Good for her for spending time thinking about it and saying, this is what I want. This is what I want to go do. Yes, that's what you're here for. You're not here to do exactly the same thing that everybody else did. Oh, no, you are not. If that was the case, then why would you be here? If we needed a carbon copy. You know what I'm saying? All right. So, again, God's love for you may manifest in different ways than it has for some of your close connections. Okay? Okay. So the first card we have here, I'm just going to put this very beautiful dove here, this winged dove. I thought this was very nice. It says, you may not always understand why certain things happen. However, there is always a higher purpose to the events in your life. Through turmoil, a blessing will soon be revealed. Okay. So if you're feeling that heaviness currently, trust that it will release. Okay. And one thing you can do is talk to God, talk to the universe about releasing that heaviness. Okay. And understanding why certain things happen the way they do. Okay. And because God wants you to be free, God wants you to be happy, God wants you to be in the spirit of joy and opportunity and adventure and life and laughter and love. Again, however that love looks for you, right? As long as you're not hurting anybody, what's the problem, right? Oh, well, they're not married. Oh, well, they don't have any kids. Oh, well, they don't. So you're going to tell me every single person that you run into has exactly the same life at home as you? No. That's why when people get out in the working world, they realize how different people are and how lucky we are to have the things that we were raised with, right? Okay. So there might be some other messages on the channel for There was somebody commenting on the chat saying nothing is clear. But that's, you know, how it goes sometimes. Sometimes God doesn't want you to see things. You know, how do you explain all the people out there that got to wear glasses or are blind or, you know what I mean? You can only fix your eyesight so much. And at the end of the day, you got to have a little faith with it. You got to have a little trust in the situation, knowing that the universe and God is doing its thing, right? Again, if you're in the chat today, please do like the video. Remember, you do not have to be a subscriber in order to like the video, okay? I think someone in the chat is asking existential questions. Look deep within your heart and you will feel my love. My love for you is as deep as the ocean. Okay, that's God talking to you there, saying, you think, okay, you understand how whole you are, okay? And that is why God created this whole universe, so you can see how enveloped you are in the greater humanity. Okay, and what you choose to do with that and how you choose to do it. Okay. So, yeah. So go forth and shine. Somebody says I look like a stranger. Oh, on this card, Keith Urban. You know, I think it's but you know, it's funny. So I think, didn't he just play on one of the New Year's Eve shows? I had a lot of fun this year flipping between the Nashville show and the like the New Year's Rockin' Eve that Ryan Seacrest has been hosting. I thought they had a nice mix of performers this year and stuff. But yeah, I think you are correct. This card kind of does look reminiscent of that Keith Urban who he played. And I'm not necessarily a Keith Urban fan, or I wouldn't even know one of his songs, you know. But yeah, he was on a show, and I'm sure I know some Keith Urban fans, so I know some of them were very very happy to see him on that New Year's show. Somebody says your duck is squeaking. Yeah, it's the dog with the toy. And you know, somebody's commenting about the TV show Stranger Things. I've only seen like the first. I think I made it through like the first two seasons, and then or the first season, and then I stopped watching it, which is very common for me with series. I usually don't. I'm more of a movie person. I'm like, give me that 2 hours. I want to see, you know. I had many discussions with my coworkers over time. Oh, I like to see the character development, the arc of the character development. And I'm like, I don't have that kind of time investment, right? Sometimes when we watch readings or watch videos online, you know, you don't have to watch something from start to finish. If you're not resonating with that part of the message, zip forward a little bit. Maybe something else in there will catch your attention and you'll get what you need out of it, right? It's kind of like people that say, oh, well, school's a waste of time because I already know this and that and the other. Okay, but did you know everything that they said in that class? Okay. But yeah, at a certain point, you might be like, okay, they're just repeating what I know, blah, blah, blah. Right. But especially if you are still in school, take that as a hint that this is the easy part of your life. Okay. Because if you already know all of that, it should be very easy for you just to copy that correct answers down on your tests and exams. Right. And in your papers that you write and everything else. Okay. Anyway. So keep that in mind as you are returning this semester to complete your studies, you know, finish strong, even if this is like your last year at whatever. You know, some people don't understand the value of education, and that's okay. They don't have to. What's important is that you do your best no matter where you are. Okay? You know, I was going to take some Mandarin lessons and I never because they were offering them at our local community college, and I thought that would be kind of neat, a neat go back to school to practice that language. Anyway, So that's a good point in the chat there, also, it's especially, some people be like, oh, I can't go back to, you know what? When I was at my 4-year university that I was at, there we had a lot of non-traditional students, students that had already been married, students that already had kids, students that had been married and divorced and on their second marriage and had kids. You know what I'm saying? People that had been out in the workforce, and now they were doing a career change, so they were coming back to school to get, whatever kind of degree they were getting. It's a very valuable experience. Don't rob others of that experience, especially if you've had it. It's easy to sit there and say, oh, well, this won't get you that and this won't get you that because I've been there. Okay, well, let them figure that out. But when you're talking about people that have the talents and skills to go forth and prosper, you better let them. You better let them, or they're going to resent you and they're never going to want to see you again after that. Okay. So that goes for yourself as well. Like, don't sell yourself short. Give yourself something to look forward to challenge yourself, especially as we're going in 2026. Okay, so look at this lovey-dovey card. My goodness. It says here, sacred union, honor and treasure your relationship, for it is truly sacred. So those of you who are not partnered, maybe this is a good sign for you that you will be partnered in 2026, or you will find what you're looking for. Okay. Um, understanding that you're not, maybe a teenager anymore, right? Maybe you're crossing that threshold into adulthood, things of that nature, right? Okay. Um, and one of my relatives recently that I was visiting. I mean, they've been married for over, had a commitment to marriage for over 50 years. My folks have been married that long. It is possible with the right attitude. Um, you know, it's like, whose expectations are you trying to live by? Oh, I know you're gonna have to use the mirror. Like, it's like a decoder mystery. Hmm. That used to be like a fun game for us before the internet, right? They would actually print stuff out backwards and send it in the mail so that kids could try and figure it out. It was like a little game. So you're welcome. The channel name here is Manifest Wisely. Okay. All right. Since I can't really read your name, yeah, not really familiar with that alphabet. Anyway, here, look at that. Reflection. Give each other some space at the moment. Trust and have faith that all will work out for the best. Okay. Sometimes when we're deep in emotion, we need to have our own space to deal with that, right? That doesn't mean it's not going to work out, right? It's a time, it's a season. Okay. But if you spend all your time looking at the rear view mirror, right? Are you looking at the road ahead of you? That at a certain point you'll begin to know, and you'll start to see signs as well. Okay. Okay, her next one is on. It's not Alaska. It's the Pan Americana. That's what she's calling it. All right. I think she's from the Northwest region. Embrace. Okay. Again, through each other, you find the missing pieces. So again, this doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic relationship. But just being in the spirit of openness, open to receive, a hug from a relative or something of that nature. Okay. That helps us heal. That helps us connect to those emotions that sometimes can feel heavy. Okay. Yeah, right here it says on the bottom of the deck, it says emotions are, okay, emotions are a natural and necessary part of life, but they can also distort your perception and cloud your vision. In order to see things clearly, you must let go of resentment. What was I saying about resentment earlier? Okay. So if you're not, kind of able to give of yourself freely, you're going to have to ask yourself why. Okay. And what are you holding up for who? Okay. Because you don't want to build resentment against that person. You don't want to build resentment against yourself. I think of like that Kelly Clarkson song. She said, "Because of you, I never strayed too far from the sidewalk," and things like that. And I think a part of that song is about opening up and learning to trust people, right? And moving forward, even if it is sometimes painful or emotional. Okay. So reflect on those emotions, but here what it's saying is don't stay there at the permanent, address. Okay. Because yes, underneath it here, like Keith Urban, you got a little star meant for people to see you shine. Maybe you're not going to be on the New Year's Eve show, but maybe you're going to be in your local newspaper for doing something with, your local food pantry. Maybe, do you know what I'm saying? Spread those wings and see how you can fly. All right. Or maybe how you're already. Look at what you've accomplished already. Okay. And, blow some air up in your own wings a little bit, right? Ruffling them feathers. Just like the Bears did last night, at the last minute, winning that ball game, right? They're sad. Yeah, I know what you think of us right now, but I'm still gonna go for it, and look what happened. Okay. All right. I think that's all for today that I have for you guys. Yeah, so this is a good one too. Just happens to be relative here. On the back it says, "When you pass from this world, you take nothing with you but your soul and the memories you have shared with those that you love." Okay? So keep those happy memories going, right? That's part of your duty, right? Part of your legacy to leave on earth, right? And to leave other people with some of that as well. Okay? So, and I don't want to necessarily comment specifically on things going in the news, but it's kind of like, know who the real enemy is. Know who's the enemy. Like, sometimes we make these snap decisions, and it's like, and then nobody's happy with the result. So, it's like, if that's, it's like, was that the best we can do? And as adults, we have to ask ourselves that. Was that the best that I could do? Unless you're one of the perfect people, then obviously this is not. Obviously, this is not the channel for you if that's the case. Okay. So, but that doesn't mean we sit there and we want to keep repeating it, right? Um, look at some of those folks that have to go to the meetings and stuff, and sometimes they, aren't able to maintain, right? But then they go back and they're starting over, right? Okay. So, don't not give yourself that opportunity just because you're not in a big meeting room full of people. Because you're on this planet, which is the largest meeting hall of all, right? In the physical realm. Okay. Okay. Message held for review. thanks for the laugh today, whoever wrote that. Another moderator just handled this. Okay, thank you. I am cracking up. I am cracking up. But thank you. I kind of needed a laugh. So, appreciate you. Appreciate you. Right? Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Yeah, guys, I think that's all I have for you today. So, pretty short message, but like I said, I had these cards already set out and ready, and then I was following that game last night, and then I fell asleep like practically before the end of it. So I was a little tired. I've been fairly busy the last few days, so um, I just wanted to mention that. Okay. So again, I'm getting this. So I don't know. Maybe somebody's gonna have a fun Valentine's Day. I don't know. I don't know. Sneak attack, right? It's like when my dogs chase each other around. Like, especially the younger one. The younger one chases the older one around. Oh my gosh! Look where I cut the twin flames. Your passion ignites. Ooh, wow. So again, some people think like, oh, it's gonna take me 25 years before I meet the right person. For some people, yes. But for you, that might not be the case. You could meet that person tomorrow. Maybe you meet them at your new school you're going to go to in the fall or the spring semester. Maybe you're going to meet them. Do you know what I mean? It can happen at any time. And like I said, just because it doesn't look like so and so and so and so, their arrangement. Trust me. I worked in IT for a decade at, like, I think they're considered a Fortune. I don't know if they're a Fortune 500 or anyway. Uh, they're on the stock exchange. Okay. So I understand the intensity and the deep drive and all of those things when you have a family to support and things of that nature. Okay. But again, that doesn't mean that you should be the designated survivor of holding that whole thing up if that's not what the universe and God has called you to do. Okay? For some people, it's remaining single like I am. You know what I mean? Some people, it's being partnered with somebody. So it's, maybe, joining the families and raising your kids together. Like me, I have dogs. Which, I spend as much money on them as children, I feel like. I mean, a $1,200 tooth removal for a dog is, I think it's actually more than that. And, that's me as an adult taking care of my responsibilities, not running to mommy and daddy and saying, oh, my dog's sick. Oh, help me, help me. You know, it's about, what's important to you. Okay. So I don't know why I feel like this has gotten louder in the back. Well, they're showing like a podcast filming. That's probably why. Anyway, some people have asked like this, a video like this. I am not doing any external microphone or USB device. FYI, I'm just using the mobile app for YouTube lives on this. Just FYI. I do have a device where I can, plug in my microphone and stuff like that. But when I do readings, I mean, I might be in my kitchen, I might be, sitting in the living room. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily have a single spot where I do those at. Like some folks have, like a little podcast studio or something. So, I did want to address that because I had some questions about that. And me personally, the effectiveness, I've had some technical issues lately with some of the videos, so my apologies on some of those lives. Um, One thing to do for that, especially if you are trying to do a live broadcast, and if you do have, you're trying to do it on the app, which is very easy and straightforward, which is why I like it. Okay. But you can pop open your laptop, or if you have a friend nearby, ask them to go and view your live for you and see if they can hear, right? What's coming across, or you can just check it on your laptop. Okay. And then that doesn't require you to use any special equipment. I know there's a lot of special equipment they sell out there, and you can use all of that stuff. I'm not saying anything about that. I have used that in several other videos, but for doing videos like this where it's time sensitive and I want to make sure to get it uploaded as soon as possible, I'm not waiting for the second coming to get this message out there today. Okay, so you're gonna have to deal with the hair. You're gonna have to deal with the, you know what I'm saying? That's just life. Okay. Um, so, realizing we're not perfect, but that doesn't mean you have to suffer because of it. Which again is why that the comment that was blocked really made me giggle. Just giddy as a clown. Giddy as a clown. Anyway. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's message. All right. Until next time, please do manifest wisely. Bye bye.